Welcome to Dodgers Dogs as part of the Dodgers Daily Network after a big Game 3 win by the Dodgers over the Mets, Coach. And I always talk about in these types of games, we mentioned in the pregame with Coach Holt that you never can say these are must-win games in case you don't win, but the Dodgers did win today.
Yeah, this I don't know, but I felt like it was a must-win. I mean, you got to – on the road, the Game 3, I mean, you let them get up 2-1 going into Game 4. That's one of those things you don't even want to talk about. And tonight felt what a win. I mean, it felt like a must-win for me. And I think Walker Buehler acted like it was a must-win for him,
yes,
and for the organization. And that's kind of what I saw tonight. Man, what a great win.
It was absolutely a great win. Coach Walker Buehler, he was not perfect. His command certainly was not perfect, but you know what he was? He was very resilient. He was very battle tough, minded, and he made the pitches when he needed to. And then another thing about him is he knew he was only going to go through the lineup 2 times for the Mets. They had that pre-worked out. If the max, he was going to go through 2 times. So he knew it wasn't about efficiency. It didn't matter how many pitches it took him to get to the zeros. It was all about just hanging zeros, not worried about being efficient. And he did that.
Yeah, he looked like the Walker Buehler that we all remember, right? I mean, Casey, it'd be interesting to hear you talk about it, the adjustment that he made going into the stretch after a few pitches right away.
Yeah.
And staying in that because I'm not a big John Smoltz fan. Like, it's hard to listen, but like he does have some good things to say. And he said it looked like Buehler felt a lot more comfortable out of the stretch tonight. Do you think that was a key to Buehler's success?
Yeah, one of them, and that's why a lot of relievers do it, is because first of all, the stretch eliminates a lot of issues, and since it just simplifies things, right? So it's an easier motion to home plate. But then also too, another thing that it does, if you're in the windup and the stretch, you have one way of doing things with nobody on base, and then another way of doing things with people on base. And so what it does is it standardizes the whole thing. It doesn't matter whether there's somebody on base or not. You are literally doing the exact same thing every single time. And when you're struggling with your command, every little bit of a margin matters. And I think creating that consistency by being able to do the same thing over and over really helped him there.
Yeah, and Smoltz has said it looked like it slowed him down a little bit, or something was off on his mechanics, and this was a way to slow him down. And you know what? If this is what we're going to get from Walker Buehler, if we continue to advance, like, this would be really good to see. 5 really good innings, and that's allowed the bullpen 6, 7, 8, 9. That plays right into the Dodgers' hands tonight, and it was great to see that.
The Dodgers gave Grimace a Happy Meal tonight, Coach, but they gave him a Happy Meal with no toy at the bottom of it.
Yeah, you gotta like that, right? All this stuff, the Mets, they believe in it and all this stuff, and it was good to see them shut them down.
It absolutely was. It was good to see Ohtani hit that 3-run bomb to move it from 4 to 7. We'll get into the Blake Trinan thing here in a minute, why he was used in the 7th inning. It worked perfectly. Hey, our picks to click before the game were Will Smith and Max Muncy. How about Max Muncy on base 5 times? The big home run. He took his 3 walks and had 2 big base hits. I felt like Shohei Ohtani should have scored on his first one. I didn't think that was aggressive enough base running, knowing that Teo Hernandez is a strikeout candidate and not a great situational hitter behind that. So I felt like Shohei Ohtani should have been more aggressive there and scored on that. But what a night by Shohei Ohtani, and kind of a quiet 2 for 4 for Will Smith.
Yeah, first off, it won Max Muncy. I think they've talked about it multiple times on air that Dave Roberts told Max, to settle down a little bit and not. That's what he looked like tonight. Max Muncy has always been a guy, even when he was struggling average-wise, sees pitches really well and walks and is a willing guy to get on base. And that's what I saw tonight. And the home run just kind of signified or capped it all off for him, hitting that big blast. And then I think that's going unnoticed. Will Smith has been not very good.
Yeah.
And to go 2 for 4, and in the top of the 9th, he gets a hit.
Yeah.
For me, I like to see that going into tomorrow's game because that's a really good feeling. When you watch that at bet, you're not looking at the score. You're looking at Will Smith is feeling good. He's going to go to bed tonight feeling really good about that swing. And I'd like to see that carry over. So your guys pick to click. I think you guys need to do that every night, man, because your picks to click were awesome tonight.
Yeah. I'll tell you the thing. We talked about this about Will Smith the other night. He's not gathering a whole bunch of hits. He did have the big home run to dead center. He had 2 hits tonight, but he's caught 3 shutouts, Coach. And when you're a catcher and you're catching all these and hey, it's not like the traditional starters where you're catching the same guy for 7 innings and maybe 3 different guys on a given night that you're used to catching all the time. He's having to catch Landon Knack, Ben Kasperi. He doesn't know when Michael Kopech is coming in. He doesn't even know when Blake Trinan's coming in. He doesn't know who the closer is. He doesn't know who the next guy is going to be coming in. And he's done nothing but not let the ball by him, continue to put down the right fingers, and call a game in a way in which the Dodgers can be dominant pitching-wise.
Yeah, and as much as people want to say that they're tired of some of the things Will Smith does, he's a Gold Glove finalist. I think he's been great. He handles the pitching staff really well, and I think we got to love having Will Smith there. The other thing, Casey, that goes unnoticed is Freddie Freeman might not be hitting, but the dude is playing a stellar first base, and he's digging out a lot of balls from Edmund in our infield. And I think that is going to be a unnoticed thing that needs to be talked about more. So, 1, Will Smith, the way he's handling the pitching staff, and 2, Freddie Freeman, it looks like a stud right now, even with a hurt ankle playing first base defensively.
Yeah, he has done a really, really, really nice job. Coach, the Dodgers scored 2 early. They got on the Mets early in the game. They got the crowd quieted down just like the Padres last week.
Yeah, and I think the play, I shouldn't say it's a play, but I think the sequence in the game that really showed what the Dodgers were about tonight was bases loaded with Lindor up. I'll be honest. I had that on my phone, and I was listening to it on the truck coming home, and I won't say anything. I won't say this. I don't want to get anybody mad at me, but I was watching it. And that to me was a massive play in this game. Bases loaded and Lindor coming up, and we got him out. To me, that settled everything down. And because that thing could have easily gone, 6-2 or 4-2. I don't know. It felt like it could have gone way out of hand. And Buehler got him out. And to me, right there, I felt so much better about this game and Buehler after that at bat. When was it bases loaded with 1 out? I think that's what it was. And Buehler got out of that jam and without any runs. It was amazing.
Yep. And tonight was just a night, one of those. I thought the Blake Trinan deal, Dave had a really good night in terms of the way that he chose his pitchers. I think people were wondering why Blake Trinan came in when he did. Dave, first of all, Blake Trinan was up in the bullpen. So once you're up, you might as well throw in a guy right then. And then also, I think he was going for the jugular because he felt like if we throw Blake Trinan now and then we score a couple more runs, then those innings that are thrown by the next guys, like we saw Ben Kasperi, are much lower leverage. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, Dave is firing on all cylinders. He is pulling every right move, and I think he's putting guys in for the leverage that he wants. And I thought it was very interesting to hear the broadcast tonight say Dave has said, "I'm willing to go with my guys 3 straight nights in a row, and that in my high leverage guys, my top end guys." I find that to be interesting because I think both of you and I would agree Game 2 was very important, and I don't like they're saying, use the word punt.
Yeah, right.
They kind of did. And if this is what it's setting up with the day off and these 3 games, and he's going to use a Trinan, Kopech, Evan Phillips, these guys 3 in a row, maybe it was smart. I don't know, but I thought the management tonight was really good. And for a Dodgers Daily and all the people that listen, Ben Kasperi, dude looks really rock solid right now. I feel a lot more comfortable with him than Landon Knack, and I'm a massive Landon Knack fan as you are and everybody else is. But Kasperi looks like he is a guy that is a playoff-ready pitcher right now. He looks really good.
He does look really good, and he's thrown into the perfect spots. It's tough to put into words just how much he has deserved these opportunities. He has used the minor league system, all the resources, the people in the Dodgers system, Rob Hill, Duran Olinger, Dave Anderson, all these guys to really perfect his craft, and you're seeing it right in front of your own eyes.
Yeah, it's got to be great. I mean, Dodgers Daily, we promote these guys. We talk about them all the time. And to see the success that, yeah, even though Landon has struggled, the success he's had this year, but Ben Casveras looks so good. And like, I belong out there. Like, I would feel comfortable using him tomorrow night if they needed to. Like, he looks like that type of guy right now. So it's awesome to see.
It absolutely is. Hey, I thought Walker Buehler, not only we mentioned, making the big pitch at the right time, but how about bases loaded, 3-2 count, and he throws a knuckle curve for the out, and then he just kind of feeds that momentum into his team. That was big time.
Yeah, when you look at Walker Buehler and all of his fans look at him like we remember him from, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. He has that fire that he's had, and it's good to see it coming out because he really has struggled. It has not been easy for him the last, 3 years. And to see it coming together right now, because after that game against the Padres, I didn't understand the fan base saying, what a gritty performance. He gave up 6 runs, and I don't think Walker Buehler thought that was a gritty performance. I didn't understand what people were talking about that. Now, tonight, this was a great gritty performance. This is Walker Buehler that us Dodger fans have been wanting to see, and it's great to see him have this success because he really has struggled. And tonight, he really looked like, man, I am out there. I'm a Dodger through and through. We need this win, and he came through tonight.
Yeah, and another thing about it is, I mean, while the game was still in the balance, 4-0, whatever, it was a situation to where you're wondering, is Doc going to try to think about maybe using a Michael Kopech 2 innings? Because the thing is, if you do use one of your high-leverage relievers 2 innings, and then you don't win the game, now whoever you use for those 2 innings you don't have tomorrow. I know he mentioned that he would have he would throw all 3 in all 3 days, but not if one of them pitched 2 innings. So that was really huge that Ryan Brazier got out of his inning. Those 2 sinkers, those last 2 sinkers he threw were just ridiculous. And then the Dodgers added on because then it took away the temptation of using anybody 2 innings.
Yes. Casey, I was thinking the same thing, and Tony and I were texting the same thing. The double play from Brazier was massive. I mean, in the long game, massive that he got out of that inning because then the rotation, the next guy was up and every next guy got out of their inning, which allowed what we needed to have happen. Great point by you, Casey. The bullpen is set up now. Things are set up now for the next couple games. And the Dodgers, I don't want to say are in the driver's seat, but you've got to feel good going into game 4. You've got to feel a little bit more comfortable now, the way things are lining up.
I thought really one of the biggest keys to tonight's game, too, was that the Mets, their pitchers, they really like to throw that breaking ball that looks like a strike, breaks out of the zone. The Dodgers did not swing at that, but yet I felt like the Mets did. So I thought the Dodgers had more discipline in laying off of pitches outside the zone, and I thought that really manifested in the biggest parts of the game.
Yeah, spot on, because they talked about this on the broadcast. Mets have gotten teams to bite on that all the time in this run that they've had lately, and the Dodgers did not. And that really goes against what the Mets are trying to do. And the Dodgers, we have the advantage in the bullpen. I am not, when you play the Padres, the bullpen is like, oh my gosh, they're throwing this dude now. All right, we got to do. I'm not that nervous about the Mets bullpen, and the Dodgers are not biting on the pitch that you're talking about, and I think that plays into the Dodgers' hands. So that was really good to see. We always want to see the Dodgers be patient and pass the baton, as we always say, and that's what they're doing, and it's got to continue. If they continue this thing, we're going to be feeling really good as fans, right?
I'll tell you kind of an underrated part of this game, too, was in the 4th inning, Walker Buehler's last inning. Yeah, it's great that he got through it, but it would have been a different situation for Michael Kopech if he had had to come out to get maybe 1 out in that inning, go sit down in the dugout, have an up-down right there. So by Walker Buehler actually going 1, 2, 3 in that inning, it allowed Michael Kopech to stay in the bullpen, stay in his routine, and then start his first pitch with a brand new inning. So I thought that was kind of one of those little things inside the bigger part of the game that was a really big deal tonight.
Again, Casey, you are spot on, man. You are really locked in tonight, because I thought I want to say I was thinking the same thing, but it was like it's these little things that are that clicked tonight, and everything worked the way Dave Roberts wanted it to work. Buehler was great. He did everything he needed to do. He did what he was asked, and then Kopech did what he did, and then the next guy up did what they did. And then you're right, Case. You're locked in on that, man. Kopech not having to go and pitch one in guy, sit down, get back out. He was able to go right from the bullpen, get his 3 outs, and then be done. That was incredible. That was great analysis right there.
I think one of maybe the spots of tonight that wasn't perfect, Teo just seems like he's swinging straight up at the ball, man. I think he needs to get control of his swing. It just seemed like he was swinging out of his shoes. He wasn't trying to situational hit. You know, we've mentioned a couple times this year that with Teo, with all the home runs, the 33 home runs or however many it is, he's been clutch, but a lot of his biggest hits have just been with 2 strikes, just shortening his swing, just trying to lob the ball into center field, right field, opposite field, or whatever. I felt like tonight his swing was too big. It had too much of an upward plane to it, and he was trying to hit the ball in the air too much.
Yes, my thought was, and my thought was he's trying way too hard.
Yeah.
He's trying way too hard to impress, or not even impress, but it's just like in any sport, you try way too hard and then you're starting to do things that you're not able to do. And that's what I'm seeing. And I don't want to say he's pressing. It almost looks like he's trying way too hard to be this dude and to make this magic happen every single at bat. And he doesn't need to be doing that. And it's hard to watch that. It's like from a coach's perspective, like you and I, Case, that's hard to watch when athletes are trying to do too much. And you want to tell them, dude, calm down, bro. Like, you've had a great year. Just relax. Make your normal swing. He just doesn't look natural right now. Everything looks like he's going for the fence to make this big magical October moment, and he doesn't need to do that.
I would totally agree. Hey, Kopech looked great tonight. I mean, you talk about the opposite of Teo. You know, sometimes Kopech can try to throw the ball a little bit too hard. He can pull the slider. He overthrows, and that's when he's not in the strike zone. I really think Michael Kopech, since his first outing in the playoffs, has relaxed, and he's not trying to throw it 103. He's trying to throw it 98, 99, but in the strike zone. For strike one, I think he's really under control. He looks great right now, but I'll tell you the thing, whenever he came out, I kept thinking, okay, well, he's in pretty early, so how in the hell is Dave going to bridge this game all the way to Evan Phillips and Blake Trinan? That was my thought when Michael Kopech was out there.
Yeah, yeah, and I bet if you go back and look, one of the things we talked about after his first outing against San Diego, we all kind of agreed maybe he's going to relax now. He got that out. He did come from the worst team in all of baseball history, right?
Right.
Being thrust into this pennant race, and there he was. He looks way better, like he belongs out there. And you're right. He's not trying to throw the ball through Will Smith's chest. He's trying to make his pitch. And I'm not a pitcher, but from what I'm gathering is by throwing at 99, 98, he's getting up to 101 because he's not trying to overthrow it. And I think his natural ability is taking over on that. And he looks very confident. And a confident Kopech means a very good Dodger baseball team.
Yeah. And I thought Dave was very conventional in the sense that he used both Kopech and Trinan to get the top of the lineup out for the Mets. That's how Dave played that, as he wanted those two guys for the top. But it was unconventional in the sense that you look at Trinan throwing the seventh and Kopech throwing the fifth. That's anything but conventional, but it was a conventional idea that he wanted to use those two arms for the top of the lineup. So I thought it was a great mix of just kind of using your eyes versus also pairing that with analytics. It was just great chess moves to me.
Yeah, I thought it was the big moment, like, we're going to throw Kopech in there because here's the moment. This is the chance the Mets are going to try to take control and get back in this game, and we're going to squash that immediately, and Kopech was that guy.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a great feel move from Roberts. Like, if we could shut this thing down, we really shut their whole momentum down, or the momentum they want to get going in. And I liked it. I liked where he had them. Like, he knew the guys that were coming up. These were the guys that could really get this crowd going, and those were shut down fifth and the fifth and the seventh.
Yeah, right.
Strange innings for two high leverage end of game guys, but you know what? Dave played it as if it was the end, and this was a shutdown inning. And I liked the move. I wasn't sitting there. I know we kind of texted back and forth about trying it, but like when it was all said and done, it was like, man, that made a little bit more sense now. So good moves by Roberts.
Yeah, I would agree on that. And then Kike's home run, I didn't feel like the Mets were going to score. I felt like the Dodgers bullpen was going to continue to shut them down, but I did not want to take that chance. A 2-0 lead. Hey, you get one guy on base, the next guy is the tying run. So I felt my emotions, I could be different than most Dodgers fans. That it wasn't necessary. I didn't feel like Kike's home run was like the game-winning home run, but it did give me a lot of relief in that moment. So I think I think the Dodgers were going to win the game anyways without that home run, but I think what that did is it allowed Dave to be stronger for the next 2 games here in New York.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I mean, 4-0, I was thinking, all right, we're okay. But the Mets have been so good in these late inning rallies that it was like I felt good, but like, God, just get one more run, 2 runs. Kike, just drive it into the gap and let's just get a run in here. But he's the best player in baseball, Casey. I've said it for a long time. You can go back to the history of Coach Barakoff's Twitter tweets. Kike does what he does, and that home run was just a big stamp on it, and kind of allowed everybody to relax a little bit. And you saw what it did to the Mets Stadium. Everybody left. I wanted to say Shea Stadium because we're old, Casey, but everybody left, and that's a good feeling when you're the visiting team.
Yeah, and taking the visiting fan out early is huge. We mentioned that.
Yeah.
Keeping them out of the game is even bigger than that. How about this, Coach? Mark Vientos, of course, he had the big grand slam the other night. And then Francisco Lindor, 13 plate appearances. With those 13 plate appearances, Joe Davis said on the broadcast, I think it's either Joe or John, in those 13 different plate appearances, they've seen 10 different pitchers. Wow. And that's by plan.
Yeah, and like you go back to what they said on the broadcast. And you know what? It just got me thinking with what you were saying. They said Dave doesn't want him to get into a routine of seeing the same guys over and over again. He's throwing them at different times. That makes a lot of sense now that I think about that comment. Because if you normally see these guys in the 7th, 8th, 9th, that's easier for them to pick up. Like, that was interesting. Kopech in the 5th or the 6th. Makes sense now. Dave's throwing them. He's not giving them just the normal routine. And, yes, we could sit here and talk all we want about these guys not hitting, but Lindor is not hitting for the Mets. I know as Dodger fans, we want to get on our own guys, but we don't need Lindor. We need Lindor to be 2 for 27.
Stay asleep.
Right, 2 for whatever. We don't need him getting hot. That's the last guy we need getting hot.
All right, Yamamoto and Quintana tomorrow. Quintana is the guy that they are relying on to be a stopper. Yep. Yamamoto had probably his best outing. Well, it is his best outing as a Dodger considering the stakes. Last time out, no doubt about it, in my mind at least. So, hey, what are we looking forward to tomorrow?
I'd like just to see Yamamoto come out and say, hey, look, I want to be the ace of this team. I'm gonna stack one good start onto another good start. And Quintana is like, he throws a lot of strikes, so there's going to be a lot of things. The Mets have to play really good defense. Dodgers can hit this guy, and yes, he's been their guy. He's been a stud. What did they say? He's almost been unhittable in the playoffs. But Dodgers are a really good team. When you throw strikes, Dodgers are going to make contact. Let's make them make plays tomorrow. And Yamamoto, let's go, buddy. I mean, you want to be our ace? Stack one big-time start onto another stack. This is how you become a Dodger ace and a Dodger legend are right now.
Coach, I'm going to let you go. I know you've had a busy, long day, and you've got another long day tomorrow. I know you're super excited. So do you have any final thoughts before you get out of here?
No, listen, Dodger fans, Dodger Daily, you guys are the best. I stayed up late after a long basketball practice, got home, watched the game, took a couple shots of tequila because that seems to be why we win. I'm the reason for that. But you know what, Casey, you've been locked in. You're locked in right now on what you're talking about. Dodgers Daily are locked in. And let's go. Let's get another one. Let's get up 3-1 and relax a little bit. And then maybe we'll just take care of business in New York.
Let's absolutely do it. Coach, thanks, man. See ya.
Later.
So I'm going to go ahead and turn myself up right there. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm back here by myself as Coach Barakoff had to take off as he has had a long day. I'm going to hop in to the chat now. We already have a super chat from Scarecrow for $4.99. Thank you so much, Scarecrow, for that wonderful super chat. It is always great to have all that support coming down like that. So thank you so much, Carlos Garcia. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining. Yes, definitely a great game from Walker Buehler. And yes, Yamamoto does start tomorrow. Mr. Classic, hello back to yourself. Thank you so much for joining. Ryan R. Freddie the silent hero, those two great plays, no doubt about it. And that double play was absolutely huge. That was a big part of the game. That Ryan Brazier came in and did a great job. And, of course, Shohei is absolutely on some voodoo magic when there's runners in scoring position. It's absolutely unbelievable what he is able to do and has been doing. No doubt about it, Ryan R. Who would have thought Kasperi saving their elite relievers? No doubt. I love the fact that the Dodgers were able to extend. One thing that's it's one thing to get a lead. It's another to keep adding on to it, something the Dodgers did tonight. And because of that, they're able to save Evan Phillips. Nobody had to go 2 innings. Doc has said, as we said earlier, he will throw all these high-leverage guys 3 days in a row. And so the Dodgers are in absolutely great shape. Tony Holt, great win. Great ABs by Muncy. Big bomb by Ohtani. Gave more separation. We tried to get Coach on. I hate it we weren't able to get him on. For some reason, we weren't able to link up. And so hopefully we can get him back here on tomorrow because I absolutely love talking to Coach, and hopefully we can get him back on here tomorrow. But hey, Neil before Zod, thank you so much for joining. Mad Max had a great game. Craig Osterberg, thank you so much for joining. And Alex the God. Mets rely on a lot of chase. We talked about this earlier. They rely on a lot of chase. Their pitchers do to have success. They throw that breaking ball. They get people to think it's going to be a strike, and then they swing and miss at it. The Dodgers didn't do it. The Dodgers did not swing at any pitches that were out of the strike zone. I think Gavin Lux maybe swung at a curveball that was out of the zone, kind of a check swing type of deal. Shohei Ohtani did it maybe in one of his first couple of at-bats. Other than that, the Dodgers did not chase the zone whatsoever, and that is the plan against a guy that we saw tonight in Luis Severino that has that slider sweeper left turn that is so good. So that was probably the key to the game offensively for the Dodgers, was to not swing at that left turn that was out of the strike zone. And the Dodgers did a great job of it. Daryl Jackson, thank you so much for joining. Walker Buehler proved tonight that he still performs in big games. No doubt about it. The dude is just absolutely mentally tough. He loves the big moments, and so does Kike. As Craig Osterberg is saying here, that Kike Hernandez is absolutely clutch. Gregory, thank you so much for joining. Hey, keep it moving. Thank you for joining as well. King Yellow Man, let's go. Totally agree. Ryan R. Lindor has 1 hit so far in the series. If they don't hit, they don't win. They need to contain him for 2 more games. Go Dodgers. Jay has a question here. Should the Dodgers push Edman to the 9 hole so that he can bat in front of Ohtani? Might get Ohtani really going. That's a good question. I like where Edman's at right now. I like the fact that Edman's coming up in situations to where, like, the first and third bunts, he didn't actually bunt. He squared around to bunt once and then hit the ball deep. So I kind of like the fact that Edman can do something from handling the bat. I like Edman as a handling the bat, situational type hitter, to move a runner, to score a runner, that type of deal. Then you can reset and let Ohtani do the same thing. So I'm not real strong one way or the other. The difference between Edman in the 8 hole or the 9 hole, whatever that may be. I want Edman in a position to where the Dodgers feel like he's going to have runners maybe at second base with nobody out where he can move a runner, or at third base, less than 2 outs where he can score a runner without a base hit, because he is just so good at executing. Tommy Edman has been just such a great pickup for the Dodgers. It has been simply fantastic. It was a great game again tonight for the Dodgers. Walker Buehler again was fantastic. Max Muncy had his best game undoubtedly of the postseason. On base 5 times, a home run, an RBI, a couple of base hits. Also probably should have had another RBI. I think if Shohei Ohtani's a little bit more aggressive on that, maybe steals a base and or scores with 1 out, he could have had 2 RBIs again. Will Smith had a couple of hits as well. Kike Hernandez was absolutely clutch. The Dodgers defense did exactly what it needed to do. Ryan Brazier was absolutely stones. I'm telling you, he got down 3-1 in that count. And those 2 sinkers, the one he threw to the bottom of the zone, the one that came in on the right-hander that induced the double play, those 2 sinkers were big time. Will Smith got going tonight. He got another great game, another shutout, the 3rd shutout. So you got to give him massive credit for the defense he played. Freddie Freeman, he had the 2 big scoops at first base. It's good to see Gavin Lux is healthy again. He didn't necessarily do anything tonight that was extraordinary, off the charts. Tommy Edman at shortstop, just steady Eddie there. And he is a guy, hey, don't forget, the Kike Hernandez home run was huge. Don't forget, though, in that inning, the Dodgers started that inning getting 2 outs and they had nobody on, and Tommy Edman gets a base hit to right field. So Tommy Edman got that entire inning started. Kike Hernandez hits the home run. Boom, you double your lead. You go from 2-0 to 4-0, and there's the breathing room that you needed. So don't forget the home run from Tommy Edman. And then obviously Kike Hernandez in center field had the huge home run. Teo Hernandez was probably the only player on the night that isn't super happy with the way that his at-bats went. And then Mookie Betts, I still think Mookie Betts needs to get things going a little bit more. But when you're getting production, I say it all the time, man, when one of your 3 guys between Teo, Max, and Will have a good night, the Dodgers are a really good team, and we saw that tonight. When 2 of them have good nights, like Will and Max Muncy, you become a really, really, really good team. And then when you add at the bottom of the lineup, the execution of Tommy Edman hitting the sac fly, the execution of Tommy Edman getting a base hit, and then also when you sprinkle in a home run for the bottom of your lineup, like Kike Hernandez, and you add that to your dudes being dudes, meaning Shohei Ohtani getting so many hits with runners on base, that is the formula for the Dodgers to beat really good teams. Even though the starting pitching is just kind of one of those deals to where it's night to night, you feel good about tomorrow with Yamamoto. Flaherty absolutely did his job in game 1 of this series. I've said several different times you can win the World Series by only winning Jack Flaherty and Yoshinobu Yamamoto's starts. That actually isn't the case in the 7-game series because Yamamoto is only going to throw once. And so by winning this game, this kind of got you off of that high horse. Now you're going to have Flaherty for one more game. You got Yamamoto tomorrow. So you're back into that pattern to where all you got to do is win Yamamoto and Flaherty's games and you win the series. Again, game 3 is a huge game because the winner of this game, typically speaking, will win the series 70% of the time. And then when you have Yamamoto going behind that. And so now you have 4 games left. You got to win 2 of those. So basically you got to win 2 out of the next 4. And out of those 4 games, 2 of those starts are going to be Yamamoto. And then we'll see how the bullpen games go from there. So you greatly increased your odds. It does not mean the series is over. The Mets still have the reason why the Mets are still a very dangerous team in this situation is because the strength of their team is starting pitching, which means they could go several games in a row and make it very difficult for the Dodgers offense to score. That being the case, that they could easily string together a couple, 2 or 3 wins without the Dodgers scoring a whole lot. That could happen. And then also the Mets have been very resilient. This is not a situation that will scare them away from any kind of competition. So trust me, this is still a series that is very much, the Dodgers still very much need to play and go out and take it and continue to play as well as they possibly can. So question, what's our starting lineup tomorrow? As you got Quintana on the mound, I would imagine that moves Gavin Lux out of the lineup, Kike Hernandez at second base, and then it'll be interesting to see what the Dodgers do with center field. I'll be interested to see what happens there. Or you could just throw Gavin Lux in against the lefty Quintana, but I would not think that would be the case. So typically speaking, that means Gavin Lux is out of the lineup. That puts Kike Hernandez at second and probably Andy Pages in center. And then that's why you have Kevin Kiermaier on your roster, to where if you can build a lead like you did tonight, you get that last at bat in for Andy Pages, then you bring in Kevin Kiermaier as a late game defensive replacement. If you had to ask me right now, I think that would be the lineup that I would put. Yes, Carlos Garcia, Pages in center. That would be the lineup I would go to, and I would turn to, hope you get a lead and get Kevin Kiermaier in the game at that point. So, hey, It is 11:09 my time. It is 9:09 as far as West Coast time. So I think at that point we're going to call it a night. It has been a lot of fun. It was a great game. It was a well-managed game, well-played game, just an absolutely gutty, gritty, awesome performance by Walker Buehler. He got his team inspired. They followed that. Kike Hernandez was clutch, and so was Shohei Ohtani, the rest of the group. Dodgers got a huge win in Game 3 and take a 2-1 lead in the series. Again, tomorrow night, 7:05, Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going up against Quintana of the Mets. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We will see you in the pregame tomorrow. That will be at 3 o'clock Pacific. So hope to see you then. And until then, go Dodgers.